Welcome to Don't Call Me Catty, the podcast where we don't sugarcoat the vet industry, but we do stir the pot. I'm Leilani. I'm an RVT and the CEO of Animal Health Link.
And I'm Jillian. I'm a financial education specialist and founder of Steady Gate Planning. This is Don't Call Me Catty. No fluff, just fur, fun facts, and some good stories. Welcome to the Don't Call Me Catty podcast. We are at the CanWest Veterinary Conference in Banff, Alberta. I feel so lucky to get to interview Dr. Savannah Howse-Smith. Dr. Savannah is amazing in our communities, and I am so excited to ask all the questions that I'm sure you all want to know. So Dr. Savannah, how are you? Welcome.
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
Thank you for inviting me to the podcast. So as you mentioned, I'm Dr. Savannah, and I've been in the veterinary industry for a very long time. I graduated from the Western College of Veterinary Medicine in Saskatoon in 2013. And I went right into practice. I was in rural mixed practice out in Drayton Valley. And I also started with the Canadian Animal Task Force at the same time. So my first task force clinic was 3 weeks after I started my new job. And I was certainly in over my head, but it really led to a lifelong connection to this organization. So being in mixed animal practice, I was there for 11 years. So a nice long time, get a really good, I really appreciated the life skills, the experiences, the people that I met. I do think that being in mixed animal practice made me a better practitioner and even like a better human being in a lot of ways. So I'm very grateful for my time spent in private practice. And last year, I actually moved back down to Calgary. I'm originally from a small town outside of Calgary. All my family's in Calgary. I couldn't convince them to move up north, unfortunately, where all the trees are. So back down to Calgary. And we've started up a hospital for the Canadian Animal Task Force. So it's a very unique situation where we are providing low-cost care to individuals that are on fixed incomes. So things like disability, seniors' incomes. If we have referrals from social workers, we can also work with them. It's also a space for us to provide more care than we can on site. We can provide a lot of care for our First Nations communities that we couldn't have done before. And it's just a really unique situation where we're trying to provide affordable, accessible care to more people within the community. And we're doing it with a model that hasn't really been tested before in Alberta.
This is so exciting. I remember we first really chatted last year and you had made that transition from rural mixed back down to Calgary. How are you feeling about that move now?
Well, I definitely do miss living in rural Alberta. So I was raised in rural Alberta, lived there for a long time, and the cities are very busy. It's a lot of noise, a lot of lights, a lot of things going on. But it's good because it's where all of my family is. It's where all my husband's family is. So it's been really good. It's been really nice. And what's really helpful is I had an advantage in that I've already worked with the people at the Canadian Animal Task Force for over a decade. So it's like, it's not
work-life transition was easy.
Yeah, that part was pretty easy because I've already been working with them for a very long time. Yeah. So it actually felt really awesome to finally get into the office with them there. So yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people know you just from being on TV.
Yes.
You're like a little famous face.
Yes.
You know, Alberta's own here. But how would you want the world to know who you are? Like, who is Dr. Savannah? Because I think you're a very unique person.
Well, thanks.
And you're very kind. And to do the work that you do, I think is a special skill.
Yeah, it's definitely it's something that I'm really grateful for all the opportunities in my life that have led up to being able to be in this position. Because none of us exist in a vacuum. We've all, succeed based on, support from family, support from friends, opportunities that come up and everything. And so, just really grateful that I have the opportunity to, how many people are able to work for nonprofits, right? And it's really fantastic to be able to work in an industry that I really enjoy being a part of, while also being able to do it in a way that aligns with a lot of personal values and goals.
Yeah.
So really, really cool to be able to do that.
Dr. Savannah, please talk about the TV show.
So speaking of opportunities that have come up that have been afforded, I was approached a number of years ago by a television company. They were looking for an Indigenous veterinarian that would be willing to do a documentary style series to really showcase indigeneity in the veterinary medicine spaces. And they had reached out to the Western College of Vet Med and asked about all the alumni. And it was, I think, only me and like 2 other people that were crazy enough to volunteer. And so then after they made a decision to actually follow me around. And so the goal of the show is that it really followed me around on day-to-day life as a rural mixed practitioner, as an Indigenous veterinarian. And so aired on the Aboriginal People's Television Network, and as well as I think a couple other networks as well.
And what was it called?
It's called Dr. Savannah Howse Wild Rose Vet. And the show really showcased a lot of what I do in a day-to-day. So it would be in clinic for large animals. So we would have like tooth floating in horses, calvings, that kind of thing. We would also have dog and cat exams, some exotics and stuff like that. Also did a lot of wildlife work as well. I know one of the episodes was about fostering out an orphan fawn. So successfully reuniting that with an adult deer, because adult deer are better at raising baby deer than humans are, weirdly enough. And then it also
so
did...
that stuff on Instagram where people adopt deers?
Terrible idea.
Not a good idea.
No,
what about
no.
squirrels?
Terrible idea. Just go find a wildlife rehabilitator. They'll know what to do.
There we go.
It did also showcase a lot of volunteering work that I've been a part of. So when I first graduated, I actually occupied one of 2 Indigenous specific seats at the Western College of Vet Med. And what that means is that every seat at that college is being funded by a specific government. And so the Indigenous ones are being funded in order to create, in my opinion, Indigenous veterinarians. So, for example, Saskatchewan government pays for Saskatchewan seats so that Saskatchewan can have more vets. And I was thinking, my reasoning with that is like, okay, well, I've been selected to be in these seats. That means I should probably be providing services to Indigenous communities, right? In line with, who's paying for this and who's giving the training. And so some of the ways that I tried to involve myself to give back to Indigenous communities in a veterinary capacity is through volunteer organizations. So Alberta Helping Animals Society based in Edmonton. I know I do work with them. Even today, I'm on their board of directors still. And for example, we do vaccination clinics at Enoch Cree Nation, right? And then the Canadian Animal Task Force, our on-site clinics are taking place in First Nations communities and things like that. I go up to Cambridge Bay and once a year.
Where is Cambridge Bay?
Cambridge Bay is in Nunavut, and it's actually not even on the mainland. It's on one of the islands up there.
So puddle jumper, or how do you get there?
We do have to fly. It's it's very far, very far. Yeah. And so Cambridge Bay is, I think it's at like the 72nd parallel. Like it's up there. It's high Arctic.
Yeah.
And so we go up there once a year with it's a group effort between a rescue group up there and Alberta Helping Animals Society, and we provide wellness services, spays, neuters, those kinds of things. So really trying to provide care to underserved communities in that capacity. And that's what I really appreciated about the television show, is that it demonstrated the human-animal bond that's present in these communities that a lot of people maybe are not, because they may not interact with these communities and not understand how important the animals are, and that even if that relationship between humans and animals looks a little bit different than what you're used to, does not mean it's any less valid or less impactful. And being able to showcase that and demonstrate to especially Indigenous youth that, representation really does matter. And so having Indigenous youth seeing Indigenous people in veterinary medicine spaces, I think was really, really the reason that I was willing to do that show, and what is a really tangible effect that I'm really happy came of it as well. Because I received like little notes and letters from like little kids and stuff. She's like, hey, I'm Métis too, and I love animals, and I think it's great, So those kinds of things really make everything worthwhile.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had some challenges.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And
who doesn't?
We'll talk about those. But I mean, one of the biggest misconceptions in vet medicine is that you're all in it for the money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you went from working rural mix into nonprofit how did that impact you? Because I'm sure, like, I know your TV show was excellent, but
Oh, thanks.
I'm pretty sure you didn't make millions of dollars off of that either.
No,
Right? Like,
no.
there's a lot of misconceptions of what people will see
Yes.
and what you actually experienced. So can you talk a little bit about the sacrifices that you made for all of these things?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that I really also like to bring to the table when it comes to interacting with a lot of these communities, rural communities, Indigenous communities, is the fact that um, I came from a background that is like them. And that's why representation is important.
Yes.
So, for example, I, went into a lot of debt and had to work with when going to school, didn't have parents that were well off that could pay for it. My parents divorced when I was younger, so like didn't necessarily have that kind of stuff, that kind of support.
And you
stuff
also
going
didn't
on.
have full funding,
No,
right?
no, exactly.
Yeah.
No, went into like super amounts of debt in order to go do what
Yeah.
I want to do. And just and that was actually a disconnect that I often felt when I did go to veterinary school, is that many of my classmates were very well off and their parents were well off and they had this generational wealth that is an advantage that not everybody has. And I find that that is often like the ground floor basis as to why there's a disconnect between clients that are not well off and veterinarians that are from wealthy families.
Yeah.
Right? It's really hard to connect with a professional that doesn't understand that life and they didn't come from the same place. And that's where I'm hoping that going forward, like we can support individuals from lower socioeconomic classes getting into veterinary medicine so that we have more representation, because I guarantee many pet owners are not very well off. And so being able to, provide services to them is much easier when I have similar lived experiences as them.
Yeah.
And and I also, maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but I do think that veterinary professionals should be paid for their time. It is a job, it's a profession, it's a vocation. These are skills that you take a lot of time, money, effort, and energy to learn and get good at. And so I do think monetary compensation is valid and they should get paid for what they do.
Yes.
The hard part comes in when you have a mismatch of expectations as well as resources.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where we're hoping that with the hospital, we can start to try to address some of those gaps where you have people that wish to access services but don't have the funds to do so at a regular practice. And I don't think it's fair to ask a regular practice to go into debt or not make money or not be a viable business in order to provide these services. So, but then it would be nice to have another alternative for that, because it's very much, it's hard to like bridge that gap, right? The gap of care, where care is desired. People, vets want to provide it. The owners want to have it. But the fact that we're in late or end stage capitalism really makes that challenging. And so we're hoping with our programs at the Canadian Animal Task Force to provide an alternative so that individuals that don't have a lot of money are able to still access care and services. And then vet practices that it's really morally distressing to turn away clients that are trying to do the right thing or they can't help a specific animal just because of money. We're hoping to also help some of their moral distress by giving them a place to refer, where they can refer to us. It's like, so-and-so really needs, say, like an emergency pyometra surgery, right? And that's a procedure where you do the surgery, great outcomes most of the time. Like they will live if they have the surgery and they'll die if they don't. Oh. But it can be very expensive, especially at an emergency practice or something like that, justifiably so, because, the technology that's going into this, the skills, all of those veterinarian personnel are worth their weight in gold. And so when the person doesn't have, the funds to do so, it's really nice for both parties for us to offer an alternative.
Right. So I think most consumers would want to know, like, how is the Canadian Animal Task Force funded?
Yeah, for sure. So it's actually a large part of it is private donations.
Excellent,
so a lot of it's private donations. Also grant funding. So we have different streams of funding and they're all earmarked for our different programs because we have a wide variety of programs. And so we are very good about keeping track of what money's going where, so that people who are donating to, say, like the Calgary Foundation fantastic people. Like, they have funded a lot of what we do. And the Calgary Foundation, they have basically what they do is they're almost like a little matchmaker where they have people that want to donate to charitable causes. So they collect that monies, and then they have all of their charities that they will then distribute funds to.
Okay.
So Calgary Foundation has supported us a lot, especially with getting our hospital up and running. We are also part of PetSmart Charities Accelerator Grant. So it's an interesting program where what they're trying to do with their accelerator program is they are giving money specifically to veterinary clinics that are providing services to the public, so not to shelters. These are owned animals, they're their clients, providing veterinary services to them at low costs to make it accessible. So we're actually part of a cohort of a lot of different clinics, both in Canada and the US, that are all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to solve that problem of bridging that gap. Like, how do we create a sustainable business for the long term while also being able to have a financial price point that most people can afford?
Yeah. So we're going to pivot a little bit here.
All good.
Okay. So far I've heard you use the term First Nations, Indigenous. And as a Canadian, I mean, before we got on air, I asked you, like, what is the actual politically correct term? Because I never want to be offensive. I mean, I know I can be not on purpose, but I think it's a really great piece to start with. How do we actually, talk about the communities that we are attached to? Like, Enoch is very close to where I live. I drive through it, going to the city, but I think having a better understanding of these communities will help us understand what they're experiencing with their animals too.
Yes, for sure. And so the short answer and also the hardest answer is that you should ask the community themselves, because each community is going to want to be referred to in different ways. And so that's a first step of relationship building. It's kind of like if you meet somebody new, you ask what their name is. Right? So you're going to want to do the same thing.
Or how would you like to be? Yes. How would you like me to refer to you?
Figure out a person's pronouns, figure out their name, figure out those things. Like, those are like basics from a person to person thing. So if you think of it in that context, like community to community, it's the same way. Right? So asking them how they wish, or looking through their, typically like band websites are really good because they will specifically have the verbiage that you're looking for. They'll have what they refer to themselves as, like who they are as a people, like what their historical connections are to different groups, whether they've signed any treaties or not. Like, all that information is going to be published on band websites and on their social media. So that's a great spot to start doing your own research into learning about these communities. In general terms, these days, and again, terms change over time. 20 years from now, somebody's going to be horrified that I've used these words probably, but for right now.
Don't worry, maybe this won't be, this episode won't be watched 20 years from now.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
And nothing goes away on the internet,
Never, it's true.
It's never gone. So when you're talking about individuals that are from communities that are Indigenous to this land, they're typically referring to Indigenous peoples. So Indigenous peoples is an umbrella term that covers a ton of different people. You can break that into the next level down into First Nations communities and peoples, Inuit, as well as Métis. So those are kind of the three recognized Indigenous groups within Canada. And then under those groupings, so much diversity, so many different peoples, different cultures, different languages. Like, pan-indigeneity is a problem. So you don't want to stay at that top level where like Indigenous person is an Indigenous person. I would never refer to myself as First Nations, because I absolutely am not. I actually refer to myself ideally as a First Nations ally. Even though I am an Indigenous person, I am not First Nations. That's not who I am. That's not where I'm from. That's not the people I have connection to.
Right.
So when we're talking about that, that's why, like, at a superficial, very broad level, you might be talking about an Indigenous person, but that's a very blanket term, and it can get much more granular than that.
So it's not cookie cutter,
no.
Number one. And what I'm hearing you say is that it's very complicated.
It can get, and it doesn't, and that's why I say, like, ask. Just ask them, you know?
Well, and I think the complexity is just being human.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we all bleed red.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So at the end of the day,
yes, we're all human. We're all people.
Right.
And then once I would like to think we can go further than that, where it's like, yes, we're both people. We can connect on that level.
Yeah.
But then it would be like, let's get to know each other more. And that's where the
Exactly.
relationship building comes in. There's also nativeland.ca, native-land.ca, which is an interactive map where you can actually look and see like whose land are you living on. And it will have information about different treaties, different language groups, different peoples that historically have occupied an area, have historically lived there for eons. And that's a great place to start because, again, I don't think it's the responsibility of the Indigenous groups to teach you about themselves.
Right.
That's not on them. That's not the burden on them. The burden is on you. The burden's on you. You got to go figure this out. And the ways you can do that is starting with things like nativeland.ca, reading band websites, reading some literature about it, following some Facebook pages and social media just to get to know the place. And then once you have that basic knowledge, then you can approach the groups with at least again, it's demonstrating intent. Your intent is to learn. Your intent is to get to know them. You know, it would be like going for a job interview. And if you show up and you don't even know the name of the company, that's not a great first impression.
I had someone show for a job interview with me like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you investigate StudyGate?
No.
Why
And-
did you apply?
Exactly.
This,
How
this,
does
and
that
this.
make you feel? It makes you feel like that person doesn't care.
Yeah.
So
I did not hire them.
No,
No.
exactly. Whereas, so if you apply that to this kind of a situation, putting in that little bit of effort demonstrates that you have interest, that you care, that you're recognizing that they're individual, you know, that they're human, they have their own backgrounds and their own culture, their own languages, and like celebrating that we are different. Because while we're all human, I think it's also important to celebrate differences and celebrate that diversity. And so it just shows really good intent. It also shows you're doing some of the work because it's really not on your Indigenous allies and friends to teach you about this. You need to put in that effort.
Right. Well, and it goes both ways. It's a relationship.
It's a relationship.
Yeah.
Should be reciprocal.
And I think, it's interesting because I think when people hear their name, it's the nicest thing you can hear, right? Is someone knows your name, they know how to pronounce it. And when we're talking about these communities, I think that is what speaks volumes for them.
It's a sign of respect.
Yeah. And so on that, I mean, there's lots of complexities with what we see on Facebook and social media about the dogs, the animals, the care of those in First Nations communities, right? So what are some things that there are some extremists that go on there and make everyone out to be the bad guy, right? What are some things we could do just when we at first glance to understand maybe some of those situations?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's a great question, and it really is it can get into some pretty deep topics.
Yeah, we don't have to go that deep. I appreciate, but I think just for because we want Canadians to understand that what is being posted on the internet is not the full story, right? There's usually always three sides to every story. And it's that quick judgment that it's like, can we take a minute and just maybe recognize what's actually going on?
Yeah. A great way to kind of check yourself before you wreck yourself is assume good intent.
Yeah.
That most people are good. Most people are trying their best. So if you start from that place, rather than assuming that they are evil or bad or, out to hurt everyone and everything, do a little self-reflection and be like, am I already judging before I even know what's going on? Why do I feel so defensive and upset about this? What information am I missing? Because as we all know, a lot of it's sensational. People are gonna post things that are gonna get clicks and likes. They're not gonna get, they want to get your attention because our attention is drawn in 50 million different ways. And the best way to do that is to set you off and get you upset.
Yeah.
So if you take a step back and be like, okay, what's actually happening here? Assume good intent of people and look deeper than the surface level. And I think that applies for many different topics, not just about, First Nations communities and animals on there.
100%.
So that's why I say this is a deep topic.
But this is just where
if we draw it back specifically, it really depends on which Indigenous group you're talking about. And one thing that I found through lived experience is it's very different the way that animals are kept and the way that they live in these communities versus First Nations versus Inuit. And that was really something that was eye-opening to me because, like, I'm a Southerner, so we live in the southern half of the country, not a Northerner. And so going up and having the opportunity to see how much they love their dogs up there. Dogs are a key integral component of Inuit culture. They're one of I think they're the only animal that receives names and family names the way that people do. And as a sign of respect, naming is extremely important to Inuit cultures. There's more than one Inuit culture, by the way.
Oh,
It's multiples, actually.
we are learning.
Many different Inuit
today.
cultures,
Yes.
depending on where in the Arctic they're from. But most of them have very strong connection to dogs. And they're called Kimiet, and they are seen as family members. Very important to the survival of the family. They're very highly respected animals. And also the way that the dogs are, they're not like little chihuahuas living out in the Arctic, right? Like, we're talking about like these big, built for the weather,
Floofies.
husky looking guys.
Yeah.
Like, they love being out in the snow. It's where they live. It's what they love. And anybody who has like a husky or a Malamute down south, they understand when the neighbors are calling the, bylaw because their dog's out in the cold. It's because the dog wants to be there.
Yeah. No one's actually,
one's
there, again, more people are good than bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
assume good intent.
Yeah.
So a lot of the dogs are housed outdoors, and it's definitely where they thrive. They do much better when they're outdoors. But an interesting thing I noticed is that and again, I'm keeping it very specific to my lived experience, Cambridge Bay specifically. They don't have free roaming dogs, and the community doesn't actually like free roaming dogs. Whereas down south, free roaming dogs is the norm, and that's how many animals are kept: horses, dogs,
Yeah.
all of them. So I just thought it was really interesting, the difference, and that's why pan-indigeneity doesn't apply.
Yeah.
They're very different situations. So that was just a really nice, like, tangible way of like actually being in the community and forming these relationships and seeing how animals are living there and living with the community. Really opened my eyes to how different it can be, and that they both care very deeply for their animals, and these animals are part of the community. They're family members. They're well cared for. They're well respected, just in different ways than what we're used to.
Yeah. Or because they're not living in a cushy home.
Yep. And I
Right.
mean, some of them are,
Yeah.
some of them are both in Cambridge Bay and on the southern communities, and some of them aren't. And I don't think one is better than the other. They've got pros and cons, and it depends on the dog, depends on the situation and stuff. But like, man, I've always said, a lot of my free roaming dogs on First Nations, they have the best mental and social health of any animal that I've ever worked with.
They
because
run in packs.
They're allowed to be dogs.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something that I feel like we're really missing in a lot of, like, especially urban centers, is that we're not treating dogs like dogs. And if anything, I find that almost a little bit disrespectful to the animal, because a dog is a dog.
Yeah. No, it's
And,
interesting.
and that's why I feel like we see a lot of behavior issues, because we're not allowing them to be dogs, even though that's what they are.
Right. So how can, like, with the Canadian Animal Task Force, are you working only on small animals, or
Yes.
do you get, like, do you
So-
miss working on the large?
Oh, absolutely. I miss large animal, and I miss mixed practice so much. Like, I really do enjoy it. I love it. I would love to get back into it at some point before I get too rusty. But in an ideal world, I always, I don't know. My executive director, RJ, is on board with this, but we're both a little, I don't know. We make questionable life choices sometimes, and we both think it would be a wonderful idea to expand our services
Oh, so
to
it's like
include more
Leilani and I.
species.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, whereas the rest of the team is like, you guys, calm down. We are not doing horses. We're not doing cows. And I'm like, come on.
But and this is going to be, I'm going to sound like an idiot here, but with the communities that you enjoy to work in,
Yes.
that need your support, like, they need doctors like you where they can relate, right?
Yeah.
Like, you are a Métis,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So they can automatically relate to you.
Yeah.
Do they carry cattle and herds of?
So it depends on the community.
Okay.
And horses are huge in Plains, like Plains Cree, Blackfoot, Pagani, like all of the down south, all across the prairies. Horses are integral to culture in these groups.
And they're not wildies, all of them, right? Like they're not.
No,
Yeah.
they are, again, they're housed the way that the community dogs are, in that
Right.
they are free roaming. They're allowed to express normal behaviors. They're allowed to move where they want to. They're allowed to express normal horse behavior. So they are, they don't, and that's a generalization, because there's many ranchers that are Indigenous and First Nations that keep them very similar to other people.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's tons of people like that. And then there's also a lot that aren't. So again, that's where that granularity comes in, and not assuming that it's all going to be the same for everyone. Just like how I mentioned, so there are house dogs as well as outdoor dogs.
Yeah.
There's both.
Well,
But
and they
horses,
also have like the horses. They're also athletes.
Yes,
Like if we look at the Calgary Stampede now, for the last few years they've honored the I don't know what that sport's called.
Indian relay.
Thank you.
It's wild.
I was like,
oh, it gets pretty intense.
but there's I mean Enoch has a racetrack for that too.
Yep.
And these horses are athletes. We had Dr. Greg on before you, and he's
Oh,
an
okay,
equine
yes.
doctor.
Yes, yeah.
And he worked with athletes, like
Yes.
show jumpers, race horses. These animals are very well cared for.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
And held in high regard, high respect. And again, it was related to, they are relatives, like they're part of the community. They are equal individuals, and they deserve respect and individual recognition. And it's something that I really appreciate about a lot of First Nations philosophies towards animals, in that they are their own being. And this being has its own desires, its own wills, its own behaviors that it needs to express. It needs to be a horse.
Yeah.
And it's almost disrespectful when you don't allow a horse to be a horse.
Oh, they let you know it.
Exactly,
I have a feral
right?
horse
So,
right now. So
So that's why I really, it's almost like, think of it as more like a refreshing take on it.
yeah.
Right. So rather than focusing on like, oh, it's so different and weird, like it's refreshing. It's a new way of thinking about it, and maybe you can look at it as maybe you can look at things a different way after, and that's where it's nice having differences in these kinds of things. We can.
Well, and that's medicine too,
Yep,
right?
exactly,
I mean,
yep.
you look at country to country, medicine is going to look very different.
Yeah.
And in Canada, we are so multicultural.
Yep.
And there's so many multifacets to medicine, to communities.
Yeah.
So where do you see the future of vet med going? With like where you work and the changes you've experienced? Like you've been on TV, not making millions of dollars.
No. But if I did, it would be nice.
You would, knowing you would probably take 99% of the proceeds and give back to the communities
I would
that you
give it
serve.
all over the place, but I'd
You'd have a
definitely,
little bit.
I was
You'd
gonna
have
say
a little bit.
I'd give at least a little for myself.
A little bit, but you wouldn't keep all of it. Like
No.
you are. I'm a
Exactly,
bleeding heart. I think you are the.
Yes,
You are.
yeah. It's more about wanting to see these endeavors succeed.
Yeah.
And in the community, like in the world that we live in these days, money is required to do a lot of that, and that's where that comes in. And so, if you think of money as like a way to represent what you would like to see in the world, and using it as an agent for change, rather than thinking of like, oh well, they're stealing and hoarding money, or they're doing all these things. It's like, well, money's a fact of life.
Yeah.
We live in a capitalist society. It's part of what happens. So if we think of it as more like, what good can I do with this force of money that I have, and putting it towards, putting our effort, putting our money, putting things towards things that we care about in order to make our community better for others, better for ourselves, better for the world, I think is really kind of what it's all about.
Yeah. So, what would help the Canadian Task Force the most?
Oh, man, that's a great question. And so, I mean, money never hurts.
Money.
But, but more than that, we actually need volunteers. We need volunteers. We are a volunteer-driven program. All of our programs are driven by volunteers. And the impact our volunteers have is tremendous. And I love our volunteers. They're all wonderful human beings. The fact that they give up their limited time and energy to pour their heart and soul into our programs, makes me feel privileged and honored. It makes me want to do a good job, because they're sacrificing a lot. They're sacrificing family time, sleep, and they could be doing so many different things, and they're choosing to spend their time and expertise on our programs in order to help others. And I think that's wonderful.
So do you
And,
need to
yeah.
be a DVM or an RVT to volunteer,
No,
or can you be
no, you can be,
non-medical?
we call them general volunteers. So we have our registered volunteers and general volunteers. In any given weekend, we need 150 to 200 volunteers.
In a weekend?
In a weekend. So
What the heck do you do in a weekend?
well, Musqueam was one of our bigger clinics this year. And in 2.5 days, we did just under 600 surgeries.
What?
So
That's
it's
a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot.
And these surgeries are like spay and neuter. Any probably not cosmetic things, more so like, or is there cosmetic things?
Not really cosmetic things, but we'll do some eye repairs like eyelid surgeries. We'll do like digit amputations, tail amputations, lump removals, quills. There were a lot of quills actually at Musqueam this year. There was a lot of that, pulling quills out of dogs.
Oh
Wound
yeah, so we should
repairs.
actually comment on that. Please don't pull quills yourself.
Oh,
right?
yes, please don't.
Yeah.
And don't cut the ends.
No.
That's a old wives' tale. It does not release the air, so they let out. The way they're actually built, they're spongy. They're spongy, and they have a little hook on the end. And so that's where that idea comes from, that it releases air because they're very spongy. But it actually makes my job harder when that happens, because typically then they disappear under the skin.
Oh, great.
Because they're shorter and I can't find them. So it's
Not
better
good.
to not. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I learned how spongy they were when I was making my own porcupine quill earrings.
Oh, that's what you're wearing.
Yeah, and you pass your needle through them, and it's like sponge.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So
That's
you
how
also
know
make
they're
your
not
own
hollow.
jewelry.
They're not hollow.
Yeah.
They are spongy.
Yeah, you're a woman of many talents. Yeah. So we talked a lot about the communities that you work in.
Yeah.
What would be an ideal day for you? Perfect day.
Oh my goodness. I want to do a what's that one movie from the early 2000s? Miss Congeniality reference right there. April 26th. 'Cause all you need is a light spring jacket.
Oh my God.
I love that movie.
You're a nerd. I love it.
But seriously, okay, so like I guess it depends on the day, because there's like so many cool things that you could do, but like, man, I don't know. That's a hard question. Like, because there's so many things that I would like love to do. I like, I will say, I often really like when I first roll in to one of our on-site clinics. So on the Friday, things are getting set up, things are just starting to rev up, and the potential that's there. And you like just are like, it's all building up and you're just getting all excited. You're like, oh my God, what nonsense is going to come through the door?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So that's usually a pretty good time. I do like that.
Yeah. I think that's, I mean, I work in finance, so my world's a little bit like, I know exactly what I'm doing every day, right?
yeah.
I don't have too many surprises.
No, that's too boring.
Well, it's not. I get to meet people like you.
Fair.
I live vicariously through
There you
people. What is the one situation? And I think it's important for people to know, like, what's a really hard day for you that lives with you, like a case or a situation with maybe one of the communities that you're like, and this is why I do what I do, but it's still hard.
Yeah, because that does come up a lot. Moral injury is really common in a lot of caregiving professions.
Yeah.
I like to, it is nice to talk about it, because I think talking about it really helps to build resilience within our communities, like our vet community. But things that I find really challenging are when we have a mismatch of what we want to do and what we're able to do. Which is very broad in general, but that's because it's going to be a little bit different each time. Like, for example, if I have a case where, especially before we had the hospital, which is one of the driving forces why I wanted a hospital, is we would be, say, out on a First Nations community. I have a dog with a fractured leg. I can fix that fracture. I have the knowledge. I have the
experience.
I can do this. This is a thing I can fix, and the dog will have a long, healthy life. They will have their companion back. Like, this is fixable. This is a thing I can do. But then before we had our hospital, I would be like, well, where are we going to do it? Who is going to do this? I personally can't do it because I don't have a clinic to go and do it in. The owner doesn't have the funds to go take it to a specialist to get it fixed. We're like, let's say we're out near Wabasca. The closest vet's like an hour and a half away and may or may not even do orthopedics. So now we're driving 4 hours into the city. What are the logistics of how we're going to get it to a hospital and then back to where it is? So it just becomes challenging. And sometimes you have those cases where they have a fixable problem but because of the context, you can't fix it, and you can't fix everything.
Yeah.
And those ones are a real bummer when it's because of things that you just can't figure out a way to make it work.
Well, and I think that's where there's a really big disconnect of, again, what we see on social media that comes out of these communities. It's like we see one side.
Yeah.
We don't see
Yeah.
what that family is giving up.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like taking an x-ray with only one view.
Yeah.
It's no bueno. You're going to miss stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't have the resources readily available. I mean, that's a risk when you live in the rural areas anyway. Like I'm only 15 minutes from a vet clinic if I needed one. I'm 40 minutes from emergency though.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's different. What do you want the world to know about what you do?
I want the world to know that Indigenous groups do love their animals, even if the way that they love them looks different. I do want people to know that they don't be afraid to learn about people that are different than you. Like, if you are wrong, that's actually not the end of the world, because it shows you're trying. You know, the fact you've put in the effort to try to learn and pronounce the name of a place in a language that's not yours, the fact you tried is more important. It's that intent, you know, having good intent. And I feel like there's a lot of, I don't think shame is the best way to go about building bridges between different peoples. I think we're all so afraid of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. And I'm like, man, what you got to do is make an effort and be honest about it. You know, like, you don't have to be right. You don't have to get it right every time. Nobody does. I mess it up all the time. But the fact that you're trying is the important part. I would rather have somebody try and get it wrong than have somebody just not engage at all. Yeah. And I think that's something that's really hard for a lot of us, because we don't want to get it wrong, because again, that's coming from good intent. Yes. We don't want to get it wrong. We don't want to offend people. But I want to say, like, be a little bit brave and, you know, put yourself out there, you know, and you'll be surprised how many people will try to meet you halfway.
Yeah. And so with the task force, is it only available in Calgary?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
We're based in Calgary. Our clinic is located just off of McLeod Trail. And right now, that's where we're at. I keep trying to convince RJ, our executive director, that one day we're going to live up to the Canadian part of our name, and we're going to have a presence in every province and territory. But he always tells me to slow my roll. Let's just get this underway first.
Big plans.
Big plans. Big plans. Yeah.
So are there other areas in Canada? Like, what could people search to help their local communities with?
Oh, man. I mean, like, across the country, there's tons of organizations that are out there doing great work. And that's part of why we switched our name to Canadian Animal Task Force, is that we've done a lot of consulting and work with other groups in different provinces. And so looking to see who is active in your communities that you're in. So just looking for rescue groups, looking for veterinary outreach groups like Community Veterinary Outreach, CVO. They do fantastic work in several provinces. There's tons of organizations, all people doing fantastic work and doing great things. So finding something, I do emphasize something local is usually best, because they're going to know the local people, they're going to know local community, they're going to know the climate, the culture, they're going to just be very connected and rooted. So I'm all about that grassroots, people that are in it because that's where they live. Yeah, that I think is what's key is working with and elevating and facilitating voices of people that are from and within these communities is much more important than having somebody else come in and say, oh, look how great they are. Like, I would rather elevate people that are from those communities and give them more of a platform and a voice. So if you're in a position where you're like, I want to volunteer or I got monies to give, trying to find organizations that are specifically from and within these communities that you're wanting to assist, is probably the best way to go about that.
Right. And if you're driving through some of these communities and you see a dog on the road, don't necessarily pick it up.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Just for clarity, I'm saying that.
Honestly, that's not even just First Nations. Like, there's so many Great Pyrenees farm dogs where they've ended up, in the shelter, and you're like, man, you should have just told them to go home.
Yeah, they go home. We live by one, and they're Pyrenees. Yeah. He lays in the middle of the road.
Yep.
And he goes there at a certain time, and he leaves at a certain time, and you just know he's there.
That's where he lives.
You know where he lives.
Yeah.
His driveway is there.
Don't kidnap him. Tell him to go home.
Go home. So thank you for sharing all of this. I think this is great information. So a fun question.
Yes.
Leilani and I love music. We think it's a great way to tie people together. So what would be your win song, your walk-in song, and your funeral song?
Okay. So I also love music, but many people don't like the music that I do.
Oh, I know. My husband thinks I have the weirdest playlist. So we'll see what happens.
So for a win song, Drive It Like You Stole It by the Glitch Mob.
I don't even know who that is. Kaylee's going to have to look that one up.
Oh.
Okay.
Chef's Kiss.
Glitch Mob. Got it.
A walk-in song, Passive by A Perfect Circle.
Oh, I actually know A Perfect Circle.
Yeah,
okay.
that one. So that's actually, I don't know if you've seen the movie Constantine.
No, I don't do any vampire movies. No,
it's the song when he walks into like the underground like bar, and that's the song he walks into, and I'm like,
okay.
Perfect.
I mean, that's
So good.
Keanu Reeves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's hot anyway.
So good.
So.
And then for a funeral song, I highly recommend that you look this one up.
Okay.
It's called Brighter Side of Grey by Five Finger Death Punch.
That's a punk band, isn't it?
No, they're not actually punk. No, I would say they're more, not quite pop rock, but they're definitely like rock metal-ish.
Okay.
But I highly recommend this one. It has one of my favorite lines is that life is not a game, it's a song.
Oh. And that's how we're going to open her episode. Yeah.
So it's a fantastic song, and it's talking about how you can either interpret it as somebody who has like a terminal illness or somebody who is potentially suicidal. Like they know their end is coming, and they're trying to reassure you, like, come meet me on the brighter side of gray. Just talking about how, we'll meet again on the other side type of thing. So I really like that song. So I do highly recommend that you look it up. It's also, great to listen to.
Yeah.
So,
and lastly, any words of advice for people that you think could need something from you, whether that's,
Yeah. So let's think here. I'm torn between saying something ridiculous and something like useful.
Do both. Go from ridiculous to useful.
Ridiculous to useful.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think. God, that's a hard one. So I just introduced my coworker to the sunscreen song. She had no idea about the sunscreen song.
Oh my God, that song is so good.
And there was a great line in there that said, advice is just nostalgia.
Yeah.
Repackaged.
Yeah.
And it's that you're thinking of a time when you either FAFO'd or you made a horrible mistake and you just don't want somebody else to do it. And now you're like reliving and thinking about it, like, oh yeah, when I really messed that up. So I would say, like, my advice is like, you know what, dive headfirst into things, just say yes to the mess, and you'll never know where it takes you.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Savannah. You are incredible.
Thank you.
The world needs you.
Thank you.
The world needs you.
It's nice to hear. Thank you for having me.
Of
That's
course.
fantastic. So
Yeah.
fun. I love
So
chatting
fun.
with you guys.
Yeah.
So it's too bad Leilani couldn't be here.
I know. She's doing important things.
She's doing
right
like
now.
real person work. We're just messing
We're
around
just
in
having
here.
fun. She's gonna watch us and be like, Jillian is never allowed to do this on her own again.
She can't fly solos. It's
No,
terrible.
I go off record. Yeah. Yeah.
Wanna hear you go.